Chapter 4: Revelations from Life. The more I examine the universe and the details of its architecture, the more evidence I find that the universe in some sense must have known we were coming. Freeman Dyson, physicist and mathematician. Human and animal characteristics. It is not only experiments and observations from the physical sciences that provide evidence of intentional planning. We find more evidence when we investigate the unusual and extraordinary aspects of the various forms of life found on planet Earth. Scientists have cataloged over 1 million species of living things on Earth. Researchers report that more than 15,000 new species are discovered each year. Camilla Mora, a marine ecologist at the University of Hawaii in Manoa, and his colleagues have estimated that the total number of species on Earth is well over 7 million. The various forms of life on Earth include plants, animals, fungi, and single-celled organisms, such as bacteria. This chapter investigates the extraordinary differences between animals and human beings. For clarity, I will use the simple term animal to refer to the non-human multicellular eukaryotic organisms on Earth. An animal's needs for survival and propagation determines its behavior in a most predictable manner. Animals have physical qualities and instincts well suited for those needs. They also learn from experiences when it benefits their survival or propagation. Unlike other living things on Earth, human beings exhibit behavior that extends far beyond the basic needs for survival and propagation. For example, humans are creators. Human beings learn and participate in activities that result in personal satisfaction. They enjoy artwork, crafts, reading, and music. Only humans can develop fields of study in and practical applications from arts and humanities, like archaeology, architecture, art, law, history, music, literature, linguistics, performing arts, and philosophy. Social sciences, like education, accounting, commerce, mathematics, marketing, agriculture, economics, management science, political science, psychology, and environmental studies. Engineering, like chemical, civil, structural, electrical, mechanical, aeronautical, and mining. Or science, biology, physics, chemistry, astronomy, earth science, computer science, life science, and medical science. Consider some of the extraordinary human abilities and talents absent in all animals, using language and symbols to communicate and share ideas. Humans use conversational language for exchanging ideas, opinions, sentiments, or observations. They use humor and laughter to express mirth, pleasure, or nervousness. They write to communicate thoughts and ideas or concepts by using symbols for reading, writing, and mathematics. Using clothing. Animals show no interest in clothing, no matter how cold or wet they may be. Creating and enjoying entertainment. Humans participate in the performing arts to convey artistic expression. They enjoy visual arts and crafts, such as drawing, painting, architecture, scrapbooking, or sculpting. They write fictional and non-fictional stories to relate events to each other, as in a story narrative. They create music and use musical instruments to combine sounds for pleasure or enjoyment. Using fire. Only humans use fire for lighting, heating, cooking, producing steam, conducting ceremonies, or sending smoke signals. Using money or other objects for the exchange of goods and services. Animals do not use items or objects found in their environment as a medium of exchange to obtain items from other animals. Inventing new things to improve their lives. Humans create or produce new things to assist themselves or others with their daily living, such as electrical lights, automobiles, airplanes, telephones, digital computers, and the internet. Developing instruments to enhance the 5 senses. Humans build devices such as the microscope, telescope, or sound amplifier. When interacting with each other and their environment, animals rely solely on their inborn physical senses and intuition. The other exceptions are the result of deliberate programming or behavioral training by humans, integrating knowledge from different areas of study to better understand the material world. Animals are not able to expand their understanding of the world around them by combining different types of information. All animal species, more than 7 million on this planet, despite widely varying physical and mental characteristics, have one thing in common. They lack all of these uniquely human abilities. That one type of living being should possess all of them, while all other types possess none, is remarkable. Something extraordinarily special is going on. These differences do exist and must be acknowledged if we are to progress towards a correct understanding of reality. These many differences between human beings and animals do not indicate that humans are in every way better or superior than animals. In many ways, such as instinct, sense of smell, and eyesight, humans are clearly inferior to many different animals. Despite having certain special qualities, human beings have no reason to feel proud. In many ways, humans are not at all better or superior to animals. However, it cannot be denied that human beings differ from animals in many ways, some good and some bad. Certain animal behaviors exhibit similarities to some human abilities. Huge expenditures and years of effort by highly educated people have been devoted to the study of animal behavior. However, no conclusion has been established to support the idea of animal cognition. Tool use. Animals use items found in their environment, such as sticks or stones, to throw, jab, reach, pound, drop, block, pry, wipe, rub, or dig when foraging for food. Chimpanzees are known to pick up various items in their surroundings to help them obtain food. With many hours of effort by human handlers, they can even be trained to use gestures or nonverbal signs to indicate what they want, such as an item of food. Surprisingly, despite the advantages of considerably larger brains and the ability to easily grasp objects, even animal species such as primates are no more effective with tool use than some species of birds. For example, the crows from the Pacific island of New Caledonia, located east of Australia, are on a level with chimpanzees when it comes to finding novel uses for items from their natural environment. Like chimpanzees, they use objects such as twigs or leaves to probe crevices for sustenance, such as insects. However, when researchers put food out of their reach, the crows sometimes use a short stick to retrieve a longer stick that they then use to obtain the food. It was surprising to find that these creatures performed at the same levels as the best performances by great apes on such a difficult problem, said Russell Gray of the University of Auckland in New Zealand. Other experiments with Caledonian crows were done by researchers from the Department of Zoology at the University of Oxford in England. The researchers there reported that seemingly intelligent behavior can be achieved without the involvement of high-level mental faculties, and detailed analysis are necessary before accepting claims for complex cognitive abilities. Scientists consider primates to be a significantly more advanced species than crows, and few would dispute that conclusion. This conundrum is investigated further in Chapter 5. The Bola's spider demonstrates a fascinating example of apparent tool use by an animal that we would consider having no intellect. Bola's spiders are found in America, Africa, and Australasia. They feed mostly on moth species that have scaly wings like those of butterflies. These wings allow them to slip out of most spider webs. An unusual technique enables the Bola's spider to effectively catch its prey. The Bola's is a throwing weapon used by South American guachos. Weights on the end of interconnected cords are specifically designed to capture animals by entangling their legs. In a similar manner, the Bola's spider uses a sticky blob of silk at the end of a silk line. The spider swings this at a flying insect, such as a moth that is unfortunate enough to pass nearby. The spider snags the flying insect and reels it in, much like a fish on the end of a fishing line. The spider did not invent this device after some careful study and analysis of the principles of mechanics. This innate behavior is part of the spider's makeup and very effective for ensuring survival in its environment. Having a larger brain, a complex nervous system, or greater physical strength does not necessarily indicate that one animal species will be more successful at survival than another. The tiny Bola's spider is no less successful at survival within its environment than are any other animal species within their environments. Animals simply use a nearby item to accomplish some task that helps them to achieve one of their two purposes in life, survival and propagation. There is a huge difference between an animal that picks up a stick and pokes it in a hole to get some food, and a human who fashions a bow and arrow from sticks and twine for hunting. Similarly, there is a big difference between an animal that picks up a rock and throws it to acquire some food, and a human who picks up a rock and uses it to sharpen a stick to use as a spear. Animal use of tools should more properly be referred to as animal use of found items, or perhaps animal use of objects. Mental abilities and natural talents. It is not surprising that animals will learn through experience that some kind of behavior can result in an improvement in their success with survival or propagation. Chimpanzees appear at times to practice deception to get what they want, but other less capable animal species will also practice deception at times. For example, some mother birds will feign a broken wing to lure a predator away from their nest. Male monkeys and squirrels will deceive other males when competing for a female. Animals do communicate, but they do not converse. Conversation and the sharing of ideas is uniquely human. Disputes and conflicts among animals certainly do exist, but there are no discussions or debates in the animal kingdom. Animals make certain sounds that may distract predators, signal danger to their neighbors, or call for a mate, but nothing like a conversation exists in the animal kingdom. A conscious, logical choice or decision requires the use of the concept of time and an understanding of causation. Human beings can use logic and reasoning rather than instinct to make choices and answer questions. They can think about what others are thinking and have the ability to escape from their present point of view. They can imagine things as they will be in the future and as they have been in the past. They have an awareness of something else beyond our familiar day-to-day physical world. Human beings have discovered that there are things unseen that exist beyond the 5 physical senses of sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. Example, subatomic particles and certain forms of electromagnetic radiation. Human beings are aware of their own mortality and understand that they have a limited amount of time on planet Earth. Most humans have a desire to be remembered favorably after they have died. The opinions of future generations matter to them. Despite knowing that they are mortal, they are able to distinguish right from wrong and to feel shame or guilt. The many aspects of the human spirit, both good and bad, are a part of our existence and experience that animals just do not possess. There is an extra dimension to the character of human beings that is not present in any animals. For an animal, every day can be summarized as a struggle to survive and propagate. Many aspects of human behavior are also related to that need, but clearly many are not. The human desire to discover truth goes beyond the basic need for survival and has no counterpart in the animal kingdom. Human beings, unlike other living things, not only observe and interact with the world around them, but they also ask questions about it. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. They are aware of and can enjoy the beauty of nature, such as a rainbow or sunset. People's lives are not necessarily more difficult than animals' lives, but they are certainly more complex. In your neighborhood library, you'll find rows and rows of biographies. Each biography contains thousands of words detailing the experiences in the life of one human being. Compare those experiences to the life of any animal on Earth, including the more complex such as primates. There is far more variety and detail within the experiences of one person's life than in the life of any one of the many different animals on Earth. To illustrate the remarkable contrast between a human being's character and that of an animal, consider the following 10 descriptive terms sometimes used when referring to human beings, but are never used to describe animals. 1. Deliberative, being able to discuss or carefully consider issues before deciding how to proceed. 2. Poetic, going beyond simple communication and expressing things in the form of poetry. 3. Lyrical, expressing things in a way that would be considered artistically beautiful or expressive. 4. Inspired, doing exceptionally great things not normally expected of a human being. 5. Contemplative, thinking carefully and studying things thoughtfully. 6. Cultural, having an appreciation of the fine arts such as music, theater, or painting. 7. Judgmental, tending to judge things harshly at times. 8. Nostalgic, experiencing a yearning for the happiness felt in a former place or time. 9. Prodigy, A young person recognized as having exceptional talents in some specific area. And 10. Genius. Recognized as having a level of exceedingly rare or remarkable talent or intelligence. There will never be a philosopher in the animal kingdom. There will never be a poet in the animal kingdom. There will never be a great composer or artist or musician or orator or debater or writer or storyteller or architect or chess master or medical doctor or lawyer or scientist or entertainer in the animal kingdom. People enjoy keeping animals as pets, as pleasurable as it is to have a goldfish, rabbit, bird, turtle, cat, or dog in the home. None of our pets were ever associated with the terms descriptive of uniquely human abilities or talents. Our pets are never described as contemplative, nostalgic, deliberative, poetic, inspired, cultural, judgmental, or soulful, despite often being in the presence of humans. In the one place in the universe where we know that life can exist and thrive, there is no natural reason to expect one form of life to be so extraordinarily different from all others. If there were not some kind of universal planning involved, one would expect that some animal species would exhibit at least a few of the human mental abilities and talents. Clearly, human beings are endowed with special, unusual, and unique qualities. The contrast between what it means to be human and what defines all other known forms of life is huge. Why are human beings singled out in this way, if not for some kind of intentional plan? Individual uniqueness. Personality, mental ability, and natural talents are three important aspects of each individual human being and of many individual animals as well. Personality is determined by how a person tends to think, feel, and behave. Psychologists have concluded that an individual's personality is predominantly made up of a combination of 5 traits. Openness. How open a person is to experiencing and trying new things includes attributes such as adventurous, curious, or creative. Conscientiousness. How dedicated and dependable a person is includes attributes such as thoughtful, organized, detail-oriented, dependable, dedicated, disciplined, achievement-focused, or self-controlled. Extroversion. How comfortable a person is in the company of others includes attributes such as talkative, sociable, assertive, or excitable. Agreeableness. How well a person gets along with other people includes attributes such as helpful, kind, compassionate, or cooperative. Neuroticism. How emotionally stable a person is includes attributes such as prone to anxiety, moodiness, irritability, worry, or having a low tolerance for stress. Aspects of these personality traits can be seen in the behavior of animals, not just humans. Although individual animals from a particular species do show significant differences in personality traits, the same is not true of mental abilities and natural talents. Individuals belonging to a certain species of bird, fish, mammal, or other animal each have a similar set of mental abilities and natural talents. As with human beings, individual animals belonging to any given species have very similar physical structure to each other. However, unlike humans, they also have very similar mental abilities and natural talents. Each individual animal will therefore interact within their environment in a very similar way to others of their own species. Individual humans, by contrast, have major differences in mental abilities and natural talents. For example, some people can create beautiful artwork, but they cannot carry a tune. And some people have a natural ability to solve complex puzzles. Others can communicate easily in multiple languages. Each individual human being has remarkably different talents and abilities from all others. Human mental abilities and natural talents. This unique characteristic of human beings became increasingly apparent during the Renaissance period from the 14th to 17th century. Renaissance, in Old French, means rebirth. The Renaissance was a period of history of cultural, artistic, political, and economic rebirth following the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages, also referred to as the Dark Ages, or medieval period, began with the fall of the Roman Empire around the year 500 and lasted about 1,000 years. It is no coincidence that the Renaissance period began about the time the printing press became useful for the widespread sharing of ideas and knowledge. In 1440, Johannes Gutenberg, a German blacksmith, goldsmith, printer, and publisher, designed a printing press with movable type printing that allowed adjustable wooden or metal characters to be used along with an oil-based ink. Multiple lines could be printed at one time, dramatically reducing the time and cost of creating books that previously had to be individually handwritten. He revolutionized the creation of books and helped make the distribution of literature affordable. Today, we are witnessing another renaissance of sorts, the further acceleration of idea sharing made possible by the worldwide use of computers and the internet. I expect that this millennial renaissance will reveal even greater variations in talents and abilities among individual human beings. A look at exceptional people from history illustrates how amazingly different individuals are from one another. For example, Leonardo da Vinci, lived 1452 to 1519, was a multi-talented Italian with accomplishments in the areas of inventing, drawing, painting, sculpting, architecture, science, music, mathematics, engineering, literature, anatomy, geology, astronomy, botany, writing, history, and cartography. Best known as an artist, he is famous for his masterpieces such as the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, and the Annunciation. He had no formal academic training, but he had an intense curiosity. His notebooks contain 13,000 pages of drawings, sketches, scientific diagrams, and thoughts on a wide variety of subjects. He described and sketched ideas for many practical inventions, but he died before being able to organize and publish them. Many of his ideas, such as those for manned flight, a practical parachute, an underwater diving suit, and a self-propelled cart using springs for power, were not used until hundreds of years later. Michelangelo, also born in Italy, lived 1475 to 1564, was a sculptor, painter, architect, and poet considered by many to be the greatest artist of all time. His artistic works include the famous Sistine Chapel ceiling and a statue of David, a marble sculpture of the biblical hero David. His works of poetry include over 300 sonnets and madrigals. Much of his exceptional success as a sculptor and artist can be attributed to his detailed study of the human body and its proportions. By the age of 17, he was dissecting corpses at the local church graveyard to gain a deeper understanding of the human body. He had an extraordinary impact on art and society during the Renaissance period, and his influence continues to this day. William Shakespeare, lived 1564 to 1616, was an English poet, playwright, and actor. His works, including numerous plays, sonnets, and other poetry, are known throughout the modern world. Many consider him to be the world's greatest dramatist, exceptionally clever with words and images. Shakespeare wrote over 1 million words during his lifetime. Galileo Galilei, born in 1564, was an exceptionally talented Italian scientist known for his work as an astronomer, physicist, engineer, philosopher, and mathematician. Albert Einstein called him the father of modern science. He is believed to be the first person to invent a practical thermometer by using the expansion and contraction of air in a bulb to move water in an attached tube. He built a useful version of a telescope that he used to help prove that the solar system was sun-centered. He also studied the craters and topography of the Earth's moon and sunspots. In 1610, he noticed 3 points of light near the planet Jupiter, at first believing them to be distant stars. Over time, he noticed that they appeared to move in the wrong direction relative to the background stars, and that they remained near Jupiter. He correctly concluded that they were not stars at all, but moons orbiting around Jupiter. Later that year, Galileo published his discoveries of Jupiter's satellites and other celestial observations in a book titled Sidereus Nuncius. Rembrandt, lived 1606 to 1669, was a Dutch draftsman, painter, and printmaker. He produced hundreds of paintings, etchings, and drawings. He is best known for his portraits and for illustrations of Bible scenes. In addition to many portraits done for patrons, he produced over 40 self-portraits. Isaac Newton was an English mathematician, physicist, and astronomer. He developed his laws of motion and universal gravitation to describe the interaction between physical objects, and he explained the observed motion of planets around the sun. He made contributions in optics, including building the first practical reflecting telescope. He also contributed to the field of mathematics and was a pioneer in developing calculus. Wolfgang Mozart lived 1756 to 1791. A talented Austrian musician and prolific composer, began creating music at age 5. In his short life, he produced more than 600 works of music, including 41 symphonies, 27 piano concertos, 5 violin concertos, 27 concert arias, 23 string quartets, 18 masses, and 22 operas. Thomas Alva Edison, 1847 to 1931, was an American inventor and businessman, considered by many to be America's greatest inventor. He developed many useful items in the fields of communication, sound recording, and motion pictures. Along with Nikola Tesla, he was one of the pioneers in the production and use of electrical energy. His inventions include the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and a long-lasting practical electric light bulb. He held over 1,000 U.S. patents, as well as patents in other countries. Albert Einstein was a German-born theoretical physicist who expanded our understanding of the physical laws of matter, energy, and the fundamental forces of nature. He is best known for his theory of relativity, developed from 2 revolutionary ideas. One was that the laws of physics are the same for all observers in uniform motion relative to one another. The second was that the speed of light in a vacuum is the same for all such observers. His work proved the equivalence of mass and energy and vastly improved our understanding of the elementary particles of nature and their interactions with the fundamental forces. He published more than 300 scientific papers. Not every human being has the same level of natural ability or talent in all areas. However, each person is remarkably different from all others and unique in their own special way. Despite having the same basic physical structure, their mental abilities and natural talents vary widely. The differences in mental abilities and talents among individuals of any given species of bird, fish, or mammal have nowhere near the variation as do individual humans. Animal differences are almost entirely associated with personality differences. Scientists have unsuccessfully attempted to connect differences in human physical makeup to explain the wide variation in individual mental abilities. For example, by studying human brains, scientists have tried but failed to find any correlation between intelligence and brain size. One study looked at the large brain size differences between 2 well-respected European writers. Ivan Turgenev lived 1818 to 1883, was found to have a brain that weighed more than 2,000 grams. Anatole France lived 1844 to 1924, had a brain that weighed 1,017 grams. Both men were successful poets and novelists. Anatole France was a French poet, journalist, and novelist with several bestsellers, and won the 1921 Nobel Prize in Literature. Ivan Turgenev was an admired Russian novelist, short story writer, poet, and playwright. Genetics. Genetics research provides more insight into the physical makeup of living things. Every living organism has within its cells a genetic code that translates instructions specifying the physical structure of the organism. These instructions are contained within structures called chromosomes, made of genetic material called DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid. They are written in a coded language and passed from one generation to the next. The entire set of the components that make up an organism's DNA is called the genome. An October 25, 2011 article from the Mobile DNA Journal explains that the genomes of humans and chimpanzees are more than 98.5% identical at the protein coding loci. And this small difference is not sufficient to explain the extensive phenotypic differences between the two. Human beings are, in many ways, physically similar to chimps, but functionally, they are very different, especially in how they express themselves and interact with their environment and with others. It is obvious that there are incredible differences in their innate mental abilities and natural talents. No one has ever observed a chimpanzee take time to gaze at the beauty of a sunset, rainbow, or spring wildflowers. You will never see 2 chimpanzees working together to accomplish a task such as building a shelter, carrying a load of supplies, or building a fire for warmth. Only human beings look at the wonders around them and ask themselves questions such as, what are those pinpoints of light in the night sky? And What causes the moon to shine with a silvery light on some nights, yet have a reddish glow on other nights? Certainly, everyone would agree that there will never be a Leonardo da Vinci in the animal kingdom. There will never be a Shakespeare in the animal kingdom. There will never be an Isaac Newton. There will never be a Thomas Edison. There will never be an Albert Einstein. There will never be a Michelangelo or Rembrandt or Mozart either. It seems amazing that chimp behavior is much closer to that of other mammals than to human beings. Despite their genetic makeup being remarkably close to that of humans, this suggests that although DNA is responsible for the physical similarity, the many other large differences involve something else. There is, in fact, an explanation for why chimpanzees lack so many human qualities while sharing so many similarities with other animal species. Something that human beings possess is missing from chimpanzees, and it exists outside of the physical makeup defined by DNA. The remarkable human qualities that are lacking in all animal species involve the use of certain mental processes not present in any other living things. Human beings possess a distinct and unique type of mental processing ability that allows humans to interact with their environment in a deliberative and controlled manner, so different from animals. Evidence from the precise characteristics of the universe and from the behavior of living things shows that something extraordinary is involved in the functioning of the universe. Intentional planning explains why the universe has the physical laws, properties, matter, energy, and forms of life that it does. The next chapter provides further confirmation by delving deeper into the mental process differences between human beings and all other living things. The recent development of computer systems provides this additional insight.